Hi, and welcome to Hoffman's Hot Seat. I'm Tom Hoffman with One-to-One Media, coming to you from the Dreamforce event here in San Francisco. And I'm joined today by Phil Fernandez, founder and CEO of Marketo. And today, Phil and I will be talking about key trends that are occurring in marketing automation and best practices in addressing them. Phil, thanks so much for joining us today.
Tom. Nice to talk to you.
You too. So, Phil, what are some of the key trends you're seeing in marketing automation these days?
Well, great question. It's something I've personally been involved in marketing automation, kind of creating products and creating companies for the last 20 years, so it's kind of an area that is a long-term passion of mine. But the exciting thing is that we're really seeing that marketing automation has sort of broken across the fire break. It's sort of not about marketing anymore. It's about revenue creation. I think that's super important because, you know, there isn't a CEO in the world that wakes up in the morning and says, let me automate marketing. And it's always been sort of the trouble of marketing automation is it's, you know, describes the wrong thing. What we're seeing now is that people are talking about revenue performance and revenue performance management and thinking about how marketing automation becomes part of a broader business initiative to really increase revenue in the organization. More leads in the top of the funnel, developing leads through marketing automation so that they're better at the time you give a lead to sales, it's the person is ready to buy, but then helping salespeople at the same time be more effective at creating revenue themselves and ultimately driving more growth. So we think it's the most exciting trend, certainly in my 20 years of MA, that we see kind of breaking out all over right now.
Okay, thanks. And you know, one of the things I was curious about is, you know, for marketers who are still fairly new to revenue performance management, can you offer recommendations on how they can get started down that path?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the sort of most important things really isn't about technology. First of all, it's about the social and kind of cultural aspects of how marketing and ultimately sales need to work together. The big idea here is that marketing and sales need to really form a collaboration that historically hasn't been that possible in many organizations. So I like to say the first thing to start is, you know, the marketing person ought to go invite a sales colleague out for a beer. You know, literally start to build the bonds, but a little less, you know, kind of humorously. The most important thing that can really start to happen is marketing and sales need to talk about what is a lead. What does sales need to be more effective? What describes a high quality lead? Marketing needs to listen to sales. Sales needs to try to really engage that discussion. If marketing and sales can start to decide what a lead is and what helps sales be more effective, then you start to have common ground that marketing and sales can build upon to drive more revenue.
Okay, great. And how does customer service play into this as well? Should they also be included in the conversation?
Great question. You know, it's interesting. This space that we call revenue performance management, or has been called lead management before that, seems to really be stereotyped to be all about acquiring customers. And it has sort of grown out of that point of view. But in fact, the entire customer life cycle is what really matters, right? It's, you know, twice as expensive in many cases or 5 times more expensive to acquire a customer than to keep a customer. And of course, in today's social world, customer satisfaction is absolutely critical in word of mouth marketing and social interactions to drive new buying. So the point is, as companies think about embarking on revenue performance management, they do indeed need to think about not only how do they acquire more customers, but how do they life cycle serve them to make sure customers are satisfied or happy, will renew. And what that means is you need to be able to listen and take input from your customer at every step along the way and make sure you respond to it in an appropriate and proactive way.
Okay, thanks. So can you also offer some recommendations as to how companies can go about gathering customer insights and then acting on them?
Well, you know, fundamentally customer insights come from one of two places. Customer insights come from the actual behaviors and actions that a customer does. And it's amazing how much information a customer leaves behind. Right? If a customer comes to a website and explores, let's say it's a network equipment company's website, and they explore all the pages about security firewalls and nothing about routers, well, that's information about the customer, that what they're interested in buying, right? So there's tremendous fingerprints that a customers leave behind and that companies can pick up from social channels, from their website, from telephone calls and others. Then there's a whole world out there, other kind of information about the customer. And there's companies like InsideView and others that do things we call sales triggers, which are the ability to, you know, get an alert when a management change happens at a customer or when a customer does an earnings release. And if you put all of that together and you look at the inside view of what a company knows about their customers and the external view, there's just an amazingly rich data set that can help marketers and salespeople talk to the right buyers at the right time.
So it could include this blend of customer interactions with a company as well as, say, the blending of operational or transactional data?
Operational data, transactional data, for example, it could be an account balance, or it could be a number of products owned, or how somebody is or is not paying a fee. So there's lots of information like that exists inside the enterprise. Operational, accounting, subscription kind of data. There is buying kind of data, whether that's a tweet or a Facebook post or a website visit or anything else. And again, this outside world data that kind of fits together to complete the whole picture.
Okay. Can you also point to examples of companies that you feel are really doing an exceptional job of revenue performance management?
Yeah, well, we sort of had an exciting time. We've been holding a competition among our own customers called the Revies that we actually announced the winners today. So, within our own customer base, obviously, at Marketo, we have about 1,300 customers now, so we have a lot of customers from the world's largest enterprises down to broad mid-market that are doing this. But for example, at Egencia, which is the B2B division of Expedia, the large travel agency, was rewarded today for the way in which they've been building bridges between sales and marketing. Traditionally, at Egencia, sales and marketing never talked, or didn't talk very much, and marketing was all about kind of the early stage of the funnel. How do I acquire new customers that might want to come in the door? But they weren't thinking about themselves as a revenue-driven organization. But all of a sudden, they got the fire. They got the fire in the pit of their belly to change. And literally, the woman who runs marketing and the guy who runs sales got together and said, let's invent a new world here where we generate more leads in marketing. We really listen to what a great sales lead is, and we drive that into sales. And they're seeing substantially increased customer acquisition, new business acquisition relative to competition through this adoption of these principles.
Excellent. Well, Phil, thanks so much for taking this time out with us today.
You bet, Tom. Great. Nice talking to you.
You too.